Welcome into 365 Sports, Paul Catalina. Josh Neighbors, our friend from Big 12 Watch. Josh was in the North Park Mall last week where, surprisingly enough, there's no cell phone signals.
Not shocked. Not shocking.
They don't want you to look up how much this stuff actually costs.
No, they don't. Luckily for me, I got out of there. I got out of the weekend pretty cheap. My girlfriend was like, treat yourself. And I'm like, the trip is treating myself. And then I got like one shirt from TJ Maxx and then she left me alone. So we were good.
You went to the A&M Arkansas game last
night. I did. Right? Yeah.
What was, that's the last one that's going to be at Jerry World, at least for the foreseeable future, which I think is a relief. I think they need to go back to home and home. But what was the vibe with that last one? And I know that your girlfriend is an Arkansas alum. Another gut punch. They've not won that game all too often since they've been playing it there.
No. It's good they're going back to, because if you look at Arkansas's first 5 weeks, they played in Little Rock against UAPB. They played at Oklahoma State. They played in Fayetteville. They played at Auburn, and they played in Dallas. So they've been all over. They've really been a road show for most of the year so far. So it's good that they're going to give that one back as a home game, and as a road game. Just go to those venues and whatnot. It should be good. It was a close game. I wouldn't say it was a good game. After watching that game, I feel pretty good about my alma mater, Missouri, this week against A&M. A&M's front though is their best thing, so I'm interested to see if Missouri can block them up front. But Marcel Reed, at least not yet, not special. Not anything special at this point in time. Their offense pretty average, I would say. Defense, though,
is to me right now, he just fits in that offense.
Yeah,
where they are.
Yeah,
and he can move the ball when they need to. He's athletic. He can make plays. Again, nothing all that great yet, but he fits. He just fits competent for what they need right now. Yeah,
he's competent. Yeah. Connor Wegman doesn't do a whole lot for me. So, and I think Mike Elko is a really good coach. And if Arkansas gets in a close game against a good coach, the good coach team usually wins.
Yeah.
They basically actually almost always win, at least for Sam Pittman.
Yeah. Let's get into the question of the week, Josh, which is what the bleep is going on in the Big 12. It is even more chaotic than we thought, because what we thought was kind of, okay, these are the teams that are good that will be able to kind of drive the ship. That's not necessarily been true, especially when it comes to Kansas. Kansas State's still good, but they've also taken a loss. Oklahoma State is right now in the midst of a waking nightmare of what's going on there. Utah and Cam Rising, who knows how bad his fingers hurt and when we're ever going to see that again. BYU's 5-0. Colorado might be good. Like all these things. I feel like we're in the upside down.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of it. I mean, I think the Cam Rising injury is kind of the part that really makes this thing weird. Like, because I think if you go through each happening on their own, it's really not that odd. Like, they're not super odd, right? So Utah, getting smoked was weird. That was pretty odd. But like, we saw this last year, just the quarterback play mattered so much for them. And Bryson Barnes only had one good game last year. They went 8-4. You look at Arizona, they're the flip side of that. Like they're kind of a two-man show on offense, and their defense has not been very good. So they played a pretty bad offense last week. I'm still not sure BYU's offense is good, but BYU, I think that's the one surprise is BYU's defense is very good. It appears BYU's defense is very, very good. Colorado can play you in some shootouts. And so it does make some sense that they're in some shootouty games and that they are winning some of those games. But like when they played Nebraska, who's good up front, they got rolled over. Right. So, but they are doing pretty well. I will give them that. Oklahoma State, not surprised to see teams keying on the run, and Bowman started off well, but then he turned back into Alan Bowman, which that shouldn't be surprising. Avery Johnson looks pretty young as a passer. Shouldn't be that surprising. So while the results kind of give you a topsy-turvy feel, like, and even Kansas, for example, I know it's not, it should look better than it does. Like Devin Neal's playing well, but Jalen Daniels looks like a guy who's missed a lot of time, and also it looks like they missed their offensive coordinator. So the results are upside down, but I think the reasonings behind the results are not surprising, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. I can see that.
What's the most surprising thing to you, Paul? What are you most?
I think Jalen Daniels not being good is the most surprising thing to me.
I agree,
because I didn't think the scheme could mess him up. Like he's just when we've seen him in the right scheme, he's fantastic. But he looks like he's lost out there, or he's, it's like he's running at 3/4 speed. That like where before in Andy Kotelnicki's system, he flourished. It's like he's gone back to being a caterpillar from being a butterfly. Drew Aller, on the other hand, if you look at what going on at Penn State, he looked like he was a guy who, was playing in cement boots half the time, and now he's pretty damn fun to watch. So coordinators do make a big difference, even with people like Jalen Daniels who are super talented. And I would not be surprised to see, if this Kansas team winds up right now they're not going to make a bowl game, but if it looks like they're going to be old school Kansas real quick, I think Lance Leipold will, let Jeff Grimes coach some tight ends or something and let somebody else call those plays.
Yeah, I mean, they lost by 6, they lost by 3, they lost by 4, and they lost by 11. Mm-hmm. So it's like not like they're getting smoked, but obviously the disconnect on offense is causing them a lot of their problems. I mean, they're giving – I don't think their defense has been terrible, but because I mean, their offense is giving other teams like a lot of extra possessions. Mm-hmm. So it's just – and like Kansas defense usually is pretty they're 73rd in defense right now, 23.8 points per game allowed, but like they're spending a lot more time on the field. So their defense kind of actually is, I think it's fair to say, like kind of where we all thought it would be, considering the extra opportunities that other offenses are getting. I think you're right about that being the biggest surprise. I think you're spot on with that.
That to me is the biggest surprise. West Virginia, Oklahoma State, both these teams need something good to happen. West Virginia's had more good recently than Oklahoma State. Like I said earlier, they're in a waking nightmare where they've got one of the best running backs in the country. They have, they had an offensive line that's all coming back, and they've got 3 really good wide receivers. But Alan Bowman's played poorly. The defense is a mess, and the offensive line has not met the moment of being a veteran offensive line with 100 starts between him or whatever it is, like more than 100, but like, this 200 starts of offensive line and all the things they brought back. That's not been par for the course for them. And they go on the road, a tough place to play in Morgantown, and they're kind of listless right
now. They're at home.
Oh, they're at home. Sorry. Yeah, they're at Stillwater. Yeah, okay.
You're good.
Yeah, they're at Stillwater. So Stillwater hasn't made a difference for them recently.
No, it just baffles. I once again go back to like the Spencer Sanders situation. I remember Robert Allen telling us when I was at XM about how like Spencer asked to come back and Mike Gundy said no. And last year, I know Oklahoma State won 10 games, but if you remember Spencer Sanders' first 7 games that he had before he got injured against TCU back in 2022, he was like the most valuable offensive player in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. Not saying he was the best, but he was definitely most valuable. Mm-hmm. And I have a really difficult time with the fact that Mike Gundy could have had him back and it could have worked out for everybody. But instead, last year they were terrible at quarterback and it cost them a couple games. And also Spencer Sanders sat at Ole Miss. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, why is this happening? And then they bring Alan Bowman back. And like, I know Alan Bowman's the quarterback of a 10-win team, but like nobody thinks they won those games because of Alan Bowman.
Yeah.
It's just so, and I know Mike Gundy's got a system, but like, you could have gotten somebody better to come in. There is so many transfer quarterbacks now. You couldn't have pulled somebody from a G5 and gotten them into the program. Like there was nobody else out there, really.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, even like a Preston Stone, like I know Preston Stone hasn't been good, but like the SMU offense isn't really built around him, but like, hell, if we're going statuesque quarterbacks, like I'll like, why not take somebody else? Because Bowman can't run, which also is weird to me too, because it's like modern quarterbacks need to be able to do both. And I don't know why that's what Spencer was really good at too. So,
and they don't need it like, they don't need to run. They don't need to be Jalen Milroe, right?
No,
they can do all the things,
they don't need that.
But they do need to be able to, when it's 3rd and 7 and you have 8 yards in front of you, run that 8 yards. Like
right.
That's what they need to do. And
he can barely extend plays. He cannot really. He extends plays and throws the ball away.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you don't. Yeah, everybody. It'd be great to have Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders or whatever. But there's also guys. I'll just give you the example of a guy who His offensive coordinator went to a new school, brought him with him, and kind of snuck everybody under the radar. And now, even though they're not great, they're a tough out because of him. And it's that Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt. Pavia at Vanderbilt. Like
that's like a class. It's like we like I was maybe he's got really big academic aspirations. I don't know what it is. I think he's already graduated though. Yeah. But like I was like Vanderbilt. How'd this happen? Because that kid was really good. There's a bunch of those guys out there, Caden Rourke. I think Caden Rourke went to what in Indiana, maybe.
Indiana,
yeah. They couldn't have Caden Rourke. Couldn't have the JMU kid. The JMU kid's at where is he at now?
Texas State.
Yeah, we couldn't have got one of these guys in there. Like seriously?
Yeah, like that. That's where you need to go. Like that's where you need to go. I see Oklahoma State, Florida State made the same mistake. Like instead of going and getting Pavia, getting Jordan McLeod or something like that for your 1-year bridge quarterback, someone who can do that. Mike Norvell saw like, oh, DJU, this is a 5-star kid. Well, he's never been a 5-star player.
No.
Like he's not. So like, let that go. Like they should have let that go. And that was one of the many anchors to this season, but that was the heaviest one. And Alan Bowman, I think when you get to 7-year quarterbacks, and I didn't believe this for Cam Rising, but I'm starting to believe it now because he's not playing for them, that maybe you just need to go, move on.
Yeah.
Because if you want to win the conference.
It sets your team back.
Yeah. If you want to win the conference, if you want to compete for the playoff, if you look at the teams who are going to be doing that, I know a lot of them are SEC teams, but their quarterbacks are going to be getting calls from the NFL. Like whether it's first round, second round, third round, late in the draft, all those teams are going to be doing that. That's not happening with guys like Rising and Bowman.
Yeah, I think Cam Rising might be a little bit different if he stayed healthy, though. I think his reality would be a bit different. But I see your point. I'm actually interested to see what Utah what kind of playoff consideration they get because, like, I feel like the committee can do whatever they want with after last year with Florida State. Yeah. I feel like you can bend the quarterback thing to any argument. Like it's like if let's just say Cam Rising comes back, they play really well. And then he gets dinged up again in the championship game, or like before that, and they go win the Big 12 championship, but he's supposed to come back in the playoff round. Well, they'd be like, well, we know they're good with Rising, and we know they didn't have him in the end, but what the seating looks like, how they treat it, just like I'm really curious to see how they're going to treat that because I think Utah Rising is I think they might be a top 10 team. I really do believe that. But it's going to be interesting to see because he's never out there. Yeah,
absolutely. Baylor is 2-4. They go up to Ames. It's not their favorite place to be. They fell behind. Like they're really good in the second half, but it's like nobody tells them that there's two halves in a game. If they can put together a 4-quarter game, maybe they can do something, but they have yet to do that. Since conference season started, and every good team they've played, they've lost to this season. So what do they have to do to get over on an Iowa State team that just does not make mistakes?
Pray to God. I don't know. They need to find some. They need to find something. Look, I just don't think they're very good. Paul, I'm going to actually keep this answer short. I just don't think they're very good. I don't think it's funny. I'm watching the reverse happen with Arkansas right now. Like, it's like, why isn't our foot down on the throttle to start games when we start games poorly? Mm-hmm. And one of my radio hosts today was like, I want Sam Pittman to bang his head against a wall. He's not going to do that because that's not who he is.
Yeah.
It's Oklahoma State second half. My host was like, step on their necks. And I'm like, yeah, but like, that's not who he is. He's not going to be like, kill them, rip their throats out. Like that's not who Dave Aranda is either. I appreciate him for that, but this team lacks a killer instinct. And Iowa State, Matt Campbell, my God, we just didn't talk about him at all. We're still not talking about him now.
Yeah.
But once they cleared Iowa, you see the Arkansas State game, they shut out Houston. At West Virginia next week is going to be their toughest challenge before they come back home for UCF and Tech. I mean, we might be looking at what is that? They're at 4 now, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8-0.
Yeah.
For this group before they go to KU and Cincinnati. I mean, the last two are tough at Utah and at K-State, or Utah and then K-State. But like, they have a chance to do something pretty impressive here. The schedule's laying out nice for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. All right.
Sorry, Baylor fans. I know this is a Baylor show, but like,
no.
I think Baylor and Arkansas are in very, very similar spots.
Yeah.
And I've said this to you, Paul. I think Baylor is a program with, given the resources and given the facts on the ground. The facts on the ground are this. Last 15 years, 3 separate coaches have won 10-plus games. If that does not mean that you can win at a place, I don't know what does. Do you think is that fair to say?
Yeah. No. Like the excuses are gone. Like now, look, they have to match, at least to their capability,
yes,
the new world of it, which is the problem. I think now Dave Aranda didn't quite grasp like how earth-shattering this was.
Yeah,
or maybe he did, but he thought like when NIL came, it was going to be egalitarian, and it's not. It's that's his mistake. Yeah,
right. I mean, if you thought this was going to be something different than it was before, like because remember what we had before was just it's like, oh, this kid's a late flip. Why did he flip? Why do you think he flipped? I just love the campus. You do really? You love the campus?
You didn't love it 2 weeks ago?
Oh, you found how much money was under that seat cushion in the student center? Like, come on, man. Like, and now it's above board and it makes people uncomfortable and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he was one of the guys who's best. Because like, here's the thing now is like, if we were paying players before and we're paying players now again, like, yes, you are going to get situations where Quinshon Judkins goes to Ole Miss. But I remember recording the Rivals last year. Like, I think it was the first time ever the top 11 5-stars all went to different schools. Mm-hmm. So like there is an ability to spread things out. So it's actually what it always was before. It's money plus coaching. It's just, I think now that the big stress is like, there's not enough money to go around at this point in time.
Oh yeah.
Donor fatigue has already set in. And once again, they're going to be employees in like less than 5 years. So it's not really going to matter that much anyway. But yeah, I'm not really sure he was most fit to handle that. But I'll tell you what, man, I think Baylor and Arkansas are in pretty similar spots. And if you ask me who I would rather be as a program, I'd rather be Baylor because the conference they're in and because the state they're in.
Yeah.
Because Arkansas's best asset is Texas. So I'd rather be in Texas and have Baylor's money and be in Baylor's conference.
Which is why I suspect that Arkansas will hire somebody who has very strong ties to Texas.
I believe there are 2 coaches, G.J. Kinney and Jeff Traylor, who would be my first 2 calls.
I would throw the third one in to be Rhett Lashley to me. But
okay, yeah,
but
definitely.
They may not do
he's
that
he's got an Arkansas connection too. So yeah,
yeah. But I would say that maybe they don't do that just because the last SMU coach they hired didn't work out.
It scarred them for life. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure they can do that again.
Yeah. So even though one doesn't have anything to do with the other, like it's just it's PTSD. That's okay, we'll do a couple more real quick. UCF at Florida. Does Billy Napier walk out of this getting to keep his job for another week, or does he lose to a team that his entire alumni base would rather spit on than save from a ditch and get fired?
It's the game he cannot lose, right?
Yeah.
And it would be the last parting shot, I guess, for him to the fan base to let them lose this game. I think UCF wins.
I do too. I think Florida, I don't think they have, like, if you've watched Florida at all this year, they have no continuity.
Rudderless.
They're just
completely rudderless.
Yeah, and they're going to like, hey, we're going to play these 2 quarterbacks. And you're like, all right. Like other than like, you know what's funny? Because at Florida, historically, it worked out for a season, right? Because they had Jesse Palmer and Doug Johnson. Like they had 2 guys that were pretty good, and they're able to do it. But like the instances of this working out are few and far between.
I think they miss Ricky Pearsall a lot too. I think they've got they suck.
Well, he had the best hands in the country.
Yes.
And when he starts playing, you'll see he probably has some of the best hands in the NFL.
Yeah, and the contested catch rate like for him must have been crazy because I mean it felt like all of his throws to him were contested.
Yeah.
But he caught all of them anyway. So yeah.
Over under Tech in Arizona 64.5. Where you going?
That is going way over. I can't believe that number is that low. It's 64.5.
Yeah, 64.5.
Have they watched Texas Tech play at all this year?
Yeah.
44-41. There's an over for
it's
you.
It's the same over under as West Virginia and Oklahoma State.
I mean, they play Abilene Christian. There was 103 points in that game.
Yeah.
Washington State was the bad one, but that one still had, 53 in that one. There were 87 points between them and North Texas, 55 against them in Cincinnati, against them in Arizona State, and then 85, against Cincinnati. So I'm going to go over.
Going to go the over. Do you think that Tech wins that game?
No.
You think Arizona and Fafita win the game?
I do. I think they've got the better quarterback. And in a game where defense might not matter very much, I will take the better quarterback.
There we go. Josh.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah.
They've got the better quarterback and they're the best offensive player in the field.
Yeah. Josh Neighbors, who is very soon have to get in the car and go to Arkadelphia, Arkansas. Yeah. Arkadelphia. You've probably never been there.
No reason to, unless you were a Ouachita Baptist University alum.
Who is that? Is that Walt Garrison that went to Ouachita Baptist? I want to say.
Great question. Not sure.
I think it's Walt Garrison.
Not sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think it's Walt Garrison, Cowboys legend, who chewed tobacco during the games.
That's awesome.
Just to let you know how long ago that was. But that's Josh Neighbors, Big 12 Watch. Find him on YouTube, Big 12 Watch. Josh, enjoy the weekend, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
I'll try, Paul.
There you go. Josh, see, that's quick. He's a little world weary today.
Yeah, he's a little spacey.
A little space, that's not you know what? He needs a nap.
He does.
He needs a nap.
Man
he definitely needed a nap. You saw him just chugging down the coffee there. So, all right.